Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Well, it's funny. If liberals spent as much time holding the Democratic Party accountable as they do shaming us, progressive, true lefty, democratic socialists, whatever you want to call yourself, the Democratic Party actually would be better. Right? It's funny. And who knows this? So we talked about Evo Morales. He was CIA tried to put a fake leader in there, and he just won this election. Here's what he thinks about America. This is pretty amazing, and this like what the rest of the world thinks of how ridiculous American democracy is. First, Ron Ukalik said, "Why are Democrats angrily lecturing third-party voters in solid blue states like New York and California?" Exactly. I'm voting third party in California. Graham, you like Trump and fascism. No, I am in a solidly blue state. If I was in a swing state, I don't know. Maybe I would vote differently. Maybe I would. It's hard for me to say. I've always been in California voting. I mean, the last time I was I was in Arizona for college, in Illinois, which is pretty blue because I was in Chicago. But here's what I want to just play this. What Evo Morales says. There's no difference between these two parties.
Dudo que hayan diferencias. Tal vez en forma, pero en temas de fondo no hay ninguna diferencia. Escuché las distintas intervenciones de los presidentes de Estados Unidos. Todos proclamaban paz, pero nunca planteaban justicia social. Hablaban paz, nunca hablaban de soberanía y de independencia de Estados. Hablaban de paz, nunca piensan garantizar la dignidad y la identidad de los pueblos. Entonces, que yo sepa, la democracia de Norteamérica, que finalmente siento que engañan a su pueblo, hacen votar porque no gobiernan del pueblo ni el gobierno, sino gobiernan las transnacionales, sean con demócratas como también con los republicanos. Ese concepto tengo después de hacer seguimiento a las políticas norteamericanas. Dudo que hayan diferencias.
I doubt that there's any difference. That's what he says. I doubt that there's any difference. As far as I can tell, the American democracy, I feel, deceives its people into voting. But neither the government nor the people actually govern. It's the transnational corporations who govern, whether the Democrats or the Republicans. That's the thing that's so mind-boggling to me about the shame that we get. I call out the corruption, and Graham, I watched the debates. I watched the Democratic convention where they trotted out John Kasich, and all these Republicans. They trotted out Republicans, Colin Powell, warmongers. That's who they trotted out at their convention. As Evo Morales just said, they talk about peace, but nothing about social injustice. They say, oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter, diversity, but they're not going to truly defund the police. They're not going to restructure. They're not going to get rid of private prisons. They're not going to do any of those things. And then at the debates, Trump and Biden and Kamala and Pence echoed the same statements that neither one of these parties, neither one of these candidates is going to implement Medicare for all. Neither one of them are fighting for that. It's not like one's fighting for Medicare for all, one isn't. There's a clear difference. There's no difference. All of them have said, we're not banning fracking. We're not going to use a Green New Deal. It's unbelievable. Nobody in any of the debates said we're cutting the military spending. That subject never even came up because the military buys ad time on all the networks that handle the debate. So that's never going to be discussed, just like Evo Morales just talked about. They talk about peace, but they don't really do anything. And he's fighting. One of the things he's an indigenous member of his country. So that's what he's fighting for. And the handful of wealthy, he's helping the indigenous people of Bolivia. There's not even a mention of Native Americans in any of the debates or any of the conventions. Nothing. There wasn't like, we got to do something about murdered and missing indigenous women. We got to close that federal loophole. That's a stance that a president could have. Because that's the loophole, one of the loopholes in murdered and missing indigenous women. So if a non-Native American commits a crime on an Indian reservation, the tribal police can't investigate or charge or prosecute or arrest even the suspect if they're non-Native. Only the FBI can do that. And in some cases, they'll have one or two FBI agents for like a whole state, like Wyoming or North Dakota or South Dakota or some state like that. So right there's this loophole that the federal government, a president, could fight for and say, I'm going to close the loophole and give more power to the tribal police, as well they should. It's a sovereign nation. That's how it's supposed to be set up, is it's a sovereign nation. So they should be able to prosecute any crime that is committed against its people and on its land. So that's not even discussed. It's not even talked about. We don't even mention that. We don't even mention pipelines. And they said, we're not going to ban fracking. Oh, hey, if you live in any of the states that have had contaminated water, earthquakes, explosions, guess what? Neither one of these parties give a shit about you. Just like everyone else just said, there's no difference. I see no difference. I see no difference, he says. I see no difference. And when we want a third party, we're yelled at online. We're called crazy. You're supporting Trump. The democratically elect, he's been democratically elected twice, Evo Morales, and then he was ousted because of an American coup. We put a CIA puppet in there, just like we're doing with Juan Guaido in Venezuela. Because Bolivia has minerals. Elon Musk said, we'll coup who we want to coup. Elon Musk said that about getting minerals for his batteries for his electric cars. That's how out of control America and its, as he talked about, these huge transnational corporations control this country. There's no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. Both of them are going to frack. One's going to frack believing in science. One's going to frack not believing in science. They're both going to bomb. Trump hasn't cut back the bombing of the war. In fact, the democratically controlled Congress has voted to give him more money for bombing. Joe Biden's not going to cut back bombs if he becomes president, because he was there with Obama that helped take us from 2 wars to 7. Obama and Biden dropped more bombs than Bush. And now Trump is on pace to drop more bombs than those two. So there's no difference. Nothing's going to change. Wall Street might care one way or another. Well, if we got Trump, we get this, there's this problem. It might hurt our pocketbooks, but Biden might tax us a little more. Oh, that's all that matters. What Wall Street does. And they always say, CNN and Fox and everybody, the markets. The markets don't affect you and me. They don't affect. When the stock market's going through the roof, do you get a bigger paycheck? Do you get better health care when the stock market goes through the roof? No, you don't. None of us could get anything. So Evo Morales of Bolivia knows more, is calling out our democracy and knows more than liberals know. Neoliberals that shame us progressives and lefties don't know what they're talking about. If they're so-called liberals and they want these things, they should be screaming the loudest at how awful the Democratic Party is. But let's be honest. Liberals don't give a shit because most of them are college educated. They got good jobs. They're doing great. They don't need Medicare for all because they've got a good white collar job that pays their health benefits. They don't need $15 an hour. They don't need student debt forgiveness. They don't care about dropping bombs because the wars that Obama dropping all these bombs didn't affect them. 85,000 dead children in Yemen didn't affect them. Chelsea Manning, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, it doesn't affect them. So they don't care. And they somehow think they're better than the Republicans who don't give a shit, because most Republicans don't care unless it happens in the front lawn. They don't care. The All Lives Matter crowd doesn't care because they've never been persecuted by police. They don't have one of their friends that got shot in the back and they were unarmed. The All Lives Matter crowd doesn't have that. So they don't see the George Floyd thing as a problem. They don't see shooting unarmed men as a problem. They act the same way about those social issues, and the liberals act the same way about working class issues. So I'm glad Rania Kellick said that, and then somebody posted Evo Morales's. And they're not going to show that. They're not going to show Evo Morales saying that on that. Rachel Maddow's not going to show that quote. Anderson Cooper's not going to show that quote. Tucker Carlson's not going to show that quote. None of those people are going to show that quote because they're all corporate puppets. They're all corporate puppets. Fox and MSNBC are just two sides of the same bullshit oligarch propaganda coin. And if you think one side is better than the other, then keep drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I hope that Kool-Aid tastes good. You think professional wrestling's real? Yeah, then professional wrestling's real. It's good. Good business. So support what we do here. I'm completely viewer funded. I get a little bit of money from the YouTube ads, so watch the ads all the way through. Don't click skip ad. When you do that, I don't get paid. But I get a lot of support from patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You get your name in the credits if you're a Patreon supporter, which is cool. And then all my YouTube videos are also on Rockfin, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. All these links are in the show notes. It's a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. My videos play ad free on Rockfin. It's free to sign up to Rockfin. They have an app for iPhones, which is cool. And if you want premium content, it's only $10 a month and it gets you premium content across the whole platform. So support what we do. Go to GrahamElwood.com. I got a PayPal button. I got a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. Great ways to support the show. Listen to the podcast. That's a great free way. It's on iTunes and Spotify. And shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.